Hello, everybody, and welcome to yet another Leadership Masterclass. And I'm quite excited about my guest today because it's probably one of the most interesting and unique profiles that I've ever had the pleasure of having here on my show. Let's call it like that. So, first of all, this person can count on 25 years of experience in leadership development and human resources. Second, most of this experience has been matured in what is one of the most forward looking and famous global organizations, Accenture. And third, this person has had the chance to hone her skills in different areas of the world, working for years in the European Union, Latin America, Asian Pacific, and Middle East. Meaning that also the experience and exposure this person has had to different cultural backgrounds and the way it reflects on her ability to work with diversity and inclusion is quite remarkable. My guest today is the Human Resources Chief of Staff Europe at Accenture. Please welcome my guest, Mara Lapi. Mara, thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thank you very much indeed, Edoardo, for allowing me to be part of this discussion. It's a great opportunity to share thoughts, ideas, and tips
Mhm.
to our people which are going to attend this podcast. The only thing that I want to say is that you set the expectations very high. So I hope that my contribution will be in line with the bar that you set. Thank you. Thank you for your kind
I
words.
well, I'm 100% sure of that. And I want to get right into the first burning question that I have for you because
Please.
um, as I said, your experience in HR and talent, and especially leadership development, is quite remarkable. And you've had the chance of observing how leadership is developing in different areas and in different setups. What are some of the biggest, let's say, changes that you've seen in your career happening when it comes to the role of a leader? And what do you think is happening now that managers need to know about and they need to incorporate into their leadership style like yesterday?
Thanks so much for this great question, Edoardo, because it allows me to share also something more about the modern leadership culture that we, at Accenture, are very aiming at introducing more and more. Um, so, a couple of reflections at the very beginning. First of all, the biggest changes in leadership come from the changes occurred not only in the market, but also in the world over the time. Mm. If we consider the last 2 years, all of us experienced a kind of disruption of the systems that on which a society is run, and it had and it has still a price to be paid. In the last 2 years, at least three are what I would name, from a psychologist that I had the honor and the pleasure to work with, traumatic life events or experiences. One of them is clearly the COVID and the impact on our emotions. The other one is the impact from COVID on the market, which increased significantly the number of unemployed people, especially among the young people and the women. And last but not least, unfortunately, we have to deal every day, and we all, everybody, have to cope with the Russia-Ukraine war. So what? In such a turbulent environment, companies which succeed are the ones which are able to nurture modern leaders. Which are the skills of the modern leaders? Considering that in many companies, I observed a strong need to create new cultures, which are a very good combination of mindset, values, and behaviors, which should be consistent with what we move and we put on the table of our clients or of our people. Uncertainty, complexity, fear, fatigue, pain are the words to describe just a few of them, to describe what everybody has been dealing with and felt and are still living. Uh, Being a modern leader now means to me to be able to focus on five things, five characteristics: being empathetic, compassionate, inclusive, having a coaching mindset, and last but not least, being able and being good at creating and maintaining networks across the digital and physical environment. Uh, Moreover, I also believe that what is important is that leaders act as role models, not only in taking care of other selves, other people, sorry, but also in taking care of themselves in order to be much more able to support people. And back to your question and thinking about the leadership styles that we had in the past, I think that there are three biggest changes in leadership, which I think are critical to companies to succeed. One is to move from command and control to put people as first. Move from a lack of time for things, what matters most, to create space to give to people the opportunity to cultivate their interest, project, learning and development, and also staying with their families. And last but not least, move from a vertical, let me say, career path and experience to much more a purposeful career that our people love. Um, Modern leaders are people to make our people feel in four ways. One, feel seen, feel safe, feel courageous, and feel connected. And just a couple of comments. Why is this important for our leaders to focus on how we make people feel? Feeling seen is important because feeling respected as an equal, understood, cared for, and valued is foundational for creating good teams and to allow our individual to share their uniqueness. Mm. What about feel safe? Well, when our people feel seen, they are much more, ready to show how they are, and they speak up, and they share diverse ideas, and contribute to the teams. Being courageous is, and I love it, is letting authentic and imperfect ourselves being seen, and it requires a personal risk taking. And last but not least, connected. Well, when we feel seen, safe, courageous, I can tell you it's a way that we are able to build trust, deeper connections with other people, and we have meaning and purpose in our work, and we are part of something larger than ourselves. In one word, we belong. Let me just conclude. There are challenging times ahead, but I believe that there are also great opportunities to outline new ways of being. Our world, our planet need that. And we should define how collectively and individually we can consciously stitch together positive relationships, sorry, to create what I like name as fabric of life that is good for for people and for planet. Let me stop here.
Okay, well, what as I was listening to you, the first of all, thank you for such an amazing answer. I think I'll need to re-listen to that and take notes of the different points. Uh, what I was thinking about is that it's easy most of the times to think about, let's say, let's put it, simplify it, talk about the modern empathetic leaders as something, sure, fine, whatever. Let's just make it, you're basically telling me that I need to show my feelings a bit more. But once you start actually looking at the job to be done, once you start looking deeply at the kind of level of change and the depth of change and the new skills and competence that are involved in this, then it starts to becoming huge. And putting it into a structure to enable people to do that, and knowing also where to put your hands training wise in terms of having people buy into this idea, change people's mindset, because most of
Oh,
what you said,
yes.
I'm pretty sure, will trigger resistance. And so you can start already, even by this answer, you can just start to have an idea of how complex the job to be done is. What is comforting, however, what I find really comforting is the fact that um, even, let's say, 5 years ago, these topics were still considered to be almost avant garde.
Mm,
It was something like, sure, yeah, okay, that's interesting, that is nice, but we are here to do a job. Give me tasks, give me numbers.
agree.
That's the idea.
Agree.
But now it's becoming tangible and real, and knowing that there are people in key positions like you that do have this level of structure and uh, yeah, just a structured way to develop this and know where to put their hands, that is in a way comforting and encouraging, and that um, is also showing some hope possibly to managers that want to develop into this direction but may feel they don't have the tools. That yes, there are tools, there are ways of doing that.
Yeah.
And you did touch on a few points that I like. First of all, you mentioned trust. You mentioned managers need to have people feel seen, feel safe, feel competent, if I remember correctly.
Connected and
Co-
courageous. Yes.
Connected and courageous. Thank you. And I like the fact that some of these ideas are also things that I work with as well, especially trust and connectedness and feeling yeah, let's say trust and connectedness. But as I because I work with this, I'm also leading to my next question because it's easy to say you want to feel connected to an organization. You want to feel connected to a person, most of all, because we're talking person to person. Um, but now we're shifting to a hybrid setup, a remote first setup, or however you want to call it. Smart working, that's the name it goes under in Italy.
That's
But
needed. That's
how
needed.
it is needed, but when it comes to practice, you've got leaders with
Yeah.
15 years of experience that are experts in connecting with people face to face.
Yeah.
How do they shift to connecting with people via computer? What do they need to know, or how is that going to impact the way they lead others?
Thank you very much. This is one of my favorite topics because it's all about being able to build the trust, as you said, and to be connected by leveraging new technologies. But it's not just about that. What I want to start with is um, something that Forbes shared. Forbes defined 2022 as the year of workplace culture. I love these definitions. This definition. And five elements should be considered. Forbes highlighted them. Let's look at them. One, flexible work will become permanent. Flexible means hybrid, as you said.
Mm-hmm.
Employee recognition will become more and more important. Connection will drive workplace culture. And employee development will become a priority. And last but not least, technology will play a pivotal role in workforce culture. So what? What I would like to say is that back to my experience and to experience of my other colleagues. When we started to come back to the office after the COVID, we understood that it's not just about where work is performed. It's more about having a healthy and supported workforce with the right skills to perform their job at best. Um, Over the course of the pandemic, almost all professionals and workers in some capacity evaluated their purpose, mm, not only in their profession but also in their life. And they clearly stated and shared that they want what they want from the workplace and what they are able to provide and to give. Um, we are heard many times the great resignation, right?
Yes.
Which is now evolving to great reshuffle. People want more control over their time. That's something that we have to reflect on and to take into consideration. It's not just the request coming from millennials and new generations, but also from people which have long experience. I, if you don't mind, I would like just to read a sentence that Anthony Klotz, which coined the term the Great Resignation. Anthony is the professor of management at Texas A&M, said, There is now a greater ability for people to fit work into their lives instead of lives that squeeze into their work. To me, it's a very powerful sentence which is important to consider when we want to build an experience, a positive employee experience for our people, which should embrace, from my perspective, three elements: feeling connected, being included, and creating a sense of belonging, regardless of where people work. Uh, I would like uh, to 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 provide a few tips
Hmm.
to our colleagues which are in leadership roles. Very simple ones. Mm. Because I know that all these concepts are probably good, but let's bring them to life. Mm.
Love
Let's
it.
try. Again, at the end, it's a matter of when we manage hybrid teams, it's a matter of building trust. I love it. And helping our people feel cared for. So, five quick ideas and suggestions. One, which I love most, let me say, grow your team's strengths. What does that mean? When we leverage our people's strengths, people are not only most engaged, but also most productive in what they do. And my suggestion is please invest time to learn the strengths of your team members. There is a very simple exercise, which is also an opportunity to connect with the people directly. Why don't you? It's a challenge, a challenging task, but hopefully it will help. Why don't you ask your team members four very simple questions? Let's reflect on. You get the best of me when?
Blank.
Second, you get the worst of me when? Third, you can count on me to do these. And last but not least, this is what I need from you. This is very simple, very simple action, but hopefully is just to provide a flavor, to give the flavor of what we have to achieve with our people. Second is build a community. And here there are a lot of ways to do it. Leveraging digital technologies and by putting in the agenda one-to-ones, get to know you activities, celebrations, and so on. Third, promote inclusion and diversity. And key success factors here are to have bold leadership supporting all this stuff, comprehensive actions, and empowering environment. 4, trust your team. Think about all the strengths that our people can provide and let's leverage them because this is a matter of unlock our people potential. And last but not least, recognize other. I can tell you, every day I recognize somebody which is part of my team. Why? Because demonstrating appreciation, especially when we are far away and located in different locations, is very helpful. Because sometimes, people working remotely feel isolated. And this is also a way and a suggestion to create opportunities to meet people in person, one to one.
Amazing. Thank you. And you know what I do find interesting, like connected to this, listening to you, um, a very easy criticism that someone that doesn't know you could say is, yeah, sure, that's amazing, but what does that have to do with work? And I connect to something that we said when we prepared or we had a brief chat before this interview. You mentioned the fact that you spent most of your years as an HR business partner,
Right.
meaning that before knowing, if I understood you correctly, you mentioned that the best way you have to bring change in an organization, do an appropriate talent strategy, you need to anchor the business and the talent strategy. So you need to understand the business first. So my understanding is that everything you said is also based on that, and it's not just a sure, nice thing to have, but what's the impact on the business? It's instead coming from the opposite way. This is more what the business needs, and this is what HR can do. Is that correct?
Absolutely, yes. And we
Amazing.
should never forget then companies succeed only if people are engaged and motivated and feel a purpose in their career and in
Amazing.
their professional growth because it's not just a matter of career.
Well, it goes both hand in hand. I mean, career and professional growth, I think that they should be at least developing all together. But that's easier said than done, quite probably.
Just a quick comment to what you said. I fully understand where you come from. My message is that sometimes in complex organizations, 2 plus 2 is not equal to 4, right?
Hmm.
There are a lot of elements which have an impact on the career and so on. What is important is, especially in this time where the world is evolving and where the automation and artificial intelligence and metaverse and all this stuff, augmented reality, will move the type of work will going to remove some of the jobs, but they will also create new opportunities. It's important to create a culture of lifelong journey in terms of learning because it's important to build the right skills to be successful. That's why I also mentioned professional growth
Hmm.
because it's key to be successful in the future where nothing is predictable.
Indeed, we can assume our best, but we don't have certainty. So yes. Well, thank you so much, and I think this is giving me already quite an amazing amount of food for thought, and I would love to ask you to dig deeper into this, but um, I don't want to abuse the time that our listener do have available for this, but I do want to ask you one last question. We
Please.
briefly discussed it beforehand. Basically, as a woman in a position of leadership, you have quite an impressive track record and quite a different
Thank you.
exposure to different cultures and different environments. Looking back at all of that experience that you have built, and maybe perhaps considering a woman that is just starting her professional growth in leadership positions, is there anything that you would feel like sharing that you consider to be fundamental or key?
Let me share three things which were fundamental to me and which allowed me to not only to progress in my career but also to become more and more a mature person. Mm. First, be yourself. That's what I think is the most important action that you always need to have in mind. Be yourself, be authentic. Never, never, never change the way you are to accomplish some other objectives because sooner or later the impact will come. Mm. Stand up and share your thoughts as a woman. Please don't focus only as we women tend to do it on rooms for improvements, but let's reflect more on your strengths. Let's break the unconscious biases. There are so many. There are so many. And we need to be authentic to be able to breach and to break them. Second, respect for the individual is absolutely key to me. And it was my companion during all the journey, which means to be able to grow our people, my people, the people which I worked with, and give to them the opportunities to also be considered as my successors because uh, we share the success. And I think that the most important thing is to consider that if your people grow, you can also grow, probably not necessarily from a career perspective, also from a career perspective, but what is most important as human being. And last but not least, don't hesitate to embrace the change. Learning, a learning attitude, curiosity, ability to face new challenges and leave your, I mean, area comfort zone is too inflated, right? But this is absolutely key to me. And last but not least, what I really value is, and I really valued in the past, is to never lose the chance to promote inclusive teams, to foster inclusion, diversity from all the perspectives, not only from a gender perspective, but also looking at the faith, the race, mental health, cross cultural, disability, and so on. This is a wider world of things. And I would like just to close with another three suggestions, if I can.
Sure, please.
Uh, Never forget, first, to book time in your agenda to listen to the people which work with you. It's impressive the benefit which come for them and for you as a team leader. Second, be authentic when you speak to your people because you can only express what you feel, and it's important to be before you do. And last but not least, keep in mind that people will remember you not because not based on what you said, but based on how you made them feeling.
All I can say about this is thank you very much and thank you for sharing your experience with us. Mara, it's been revealing, it's been enlightening having you over as a guest, and I'm honored to have had the chance of having this chat with you. Thank you very much for sharing your time with us. I'm looking forward to probably seeing you in Milan in a couple of weeks or
I
something
hope
like
so.
that.
I look
But
forward to that.
me too. And but apart from this, thank you very much for being on this podcast. Thank you so much for sharing your experience and your thoughts with us. And if you have any questions, if you're listening to this episode to this point, feel free to reach out to me directly or write them in the comments on wherever you see the video or the episode at some point.
And
Sure.
thank you, Edoardo. And please don't hesitate to share with me any questions, any reactions to these. I'm always very open to different ideas, different thoughts, and I value the dialogue so much that I'm always very much available to take questions from people.
Amazing. Thank you very much.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Mara. Have a good rest of the day.
You
And to
too.
everyone else listening, have a good rest of the day and of the week.
Thank you. Take care.
Bye
Bye.
bye.
Bye bye, Eduardo.